meeting to order. Everybody please stand and say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we ask your blessings this day. We thank you for those things you've blessed us with. Watch over us. Help us to make wise decisions for our county. Bless those who serve us. In his precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Had a chance to review the claims.
Yes, sir.
Minutes. Additions to the corrections.
Motion to approve.
Rich made a motion. Todd?
Second.
Todd second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have a cemetery appointment. Cemetery board, our cemetery board appointment. Is it Gilbert? You're retired? Alderman. And the replacement will be
Carrie Weathers. Or Shasteen.
Terry Shasteen.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to that?
So moved.
Second.
Rich made a motion. Todd second.
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor, say aye. We have an ordinance amending. Changing personnel policy handbook. And mine, cover.
I guess we're just adding that.
During a countywide emergency, weather causing designated by the county commissioners, essential highway, EMS, sheriff's department employees who are required to work during an emergency weather closure shall be compensated at the rate of 1 1/2 times the normal rate of pay for all the hours of work on the designated emergency closure day. And that is the addition to the amendment. Questions?
Make a motion to approve the amendment.
Josh has made a motion.
Second.
Rick second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried. Rick? Tell us about snow.
We fared pretty well during this last snowstorm. We used approximately 1,800 to 2,000 tons of material. We have the building restocked, so if we were to get another winter storm, we're prepared. We're also getting ready for this heavy rain we have coming in. Since the ground is frozen, we may have a little flash flooding and also trees down. We're preparing for that. And Delaney Park Road, we've had to locate on the small structures, a little. All right. I need to start over?
No.
Okay. Let's see where I was at. Delaney Park Road, we have a small structure, a little bridge replacement, and we've had the locates done, and we were shooting for mid-March, but I'm gonna say we get that started early March, like possibly the first week of March.
That's just past the landing mark.
Yes, about approximately 1 mile north.
You say a small structure, that doesn't necessarily mean that it won't be $1 million, right?
No, I'm somewhere in the 50,000 range. Is a small structure, which means it's a bridge that's under a 20-foot span.
Is that a single lane now?
No, actually the bridge is actually the widest part of the road right there, so we're gonna put that back like it was. That's all for me unless you have any questions.
How is there on ash trees?
I mean, there are many, many dead ash trees still standing, but we've cut, in the hundreds. But a lot of them, the tops have fallen out of them now, so the big trunk standing there will probably stand there for years.
It would be worth finding out, and I know what the answer would be, but this was caused by an insect that came through here, and why a person couldn't get any help from the state of Indiana or someone, because this is a big this cost us a lot of money.
No, absolutely.
Do you think it would be worth a phone, have Tiffany call and just ask someone at the state, is there there may be something out there that we don't even know about? Because I know we're not the only county that's had to deal with this. It started out, out in Missouri and just worked its way, and it's...
Right, and it's also affected, utilities like REMC. I mean, it's affected many of their lines, and it's caused millions of dollars worth of damage.
If that's not a natural disaster, I don't know what is. Why would it be any different than a flood or anything else?
Right. We can give DNR a call. I mean, I don't have high expectations, but it doesn't hurt to ask.
Well, I don't either, but
Well, then, just like you, any other landowner, look what it's done to your fences and all that stuff. I'm sure they're gonna say, no, we're not gonna go there.
Yeah.
But I guess it's worth a try.
you would try.
I'll report back to you next time.
Yes, I have two pieces of business to discuss. The first is we need the minutes to reflect that pursuant to Indiana Code Section 36-1-11-5.7 regarding the transfer of property for firefighting purposes, Washington County has transferred I think it's an old ambulance, vehicle identification number 1FDXE4FS0EVA 90715 to the Southern Indiana Search and Rescue Association, Inc. And the other piece of
Well, I think it was 14.
so the statute essentially just permits the county to transfer this without consideration of a nominal consideration if it's for a fire station or other purposes related to firefighting. So my understanding is the thing had nominal value. So we just need the minutes to reflect that ambulance is being transferred to that entity for that purpose, pursuant to that statute. Any other discussion of that?
Well, it couldn't be remounted anymore. It was pretty much obsolete. So,
The only other piece of business that I need to mention and that needs to be reflected in the minutes is some time ago, Washington County retained David Allen as their attorney, or as its attorney, to represent it in a lawsuit titled The City of Salem versus Hanson Aggregate et al. There's other parties. The lawsuit alleges Hanson and/or its predecessors obstructed the floodway of the West Fork of the Blue River adjacent to the quarry. Plaintiffs allege that the obstruction combined with a significant rain event on May 17th of 2017 resulted in flood damage to the plaintiff's properties. Washington County was one of the named parties as a plaintiff in that lawsuit. It was originally case number 88D01-1905-PL-321. It was transferred to Floyd County Circuit Court, and it was assigned a new cause number 22C01-1909-PL-1406. We met with counsel this morning in executive session, and the commissioners have approved a settlement agreement. The settlement contains a confidentiality clause, and for that purpose, nothing further can be discussed. We do need the minutes, need to vote to approve that settlement if you guys are inclined to do so today.
Present. In addition, you want to make? Then I need a motion to go ahead and approve David Allen's group to pursue the.
So claim.
So moved.
Todd's made a motion,
Second.
Rick second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
Tyra? Okay. Good.
Yes, sir.
Would you, what's your brother's name?
Justin?
Justin, would you want to come forward to the podium there?
Morning.
Might be.
Let's be all right.
Yeah. You got the floor.
Not real sure how this works. See, I talked to Todd, get the keys sealed.
Yeah.
And then Rick, I don't believe I spoke to Rick. But the situation that we're looking for is the property that's being built on East Blue River Road. The house was under the roof. You know, like it's pretty far along, and I'm not looking to get stuck with the bill. I have an itemized statement kind of going over the cost that we're up to now. I know that there's other things in the works, but I'm going to just try to staple something down to make sure that, you know, we're taken care of, we're covered, and we're not eating all these costs. I don't know if you want me to go into all the details. I know a lot of y'all know a lot of them. I don't know what you're seeking.
And this is what I've told you, and through the building process, talking to the state, talking to the attorneys, talking to FEMA, talking to DNR. Our hands are tied to tell you anything right now, and yet yesterday, 3 phone calls were being made, and every one assured me they are working on it. I have no reason to disbelieve that. And I told you if you come in, I'd give you the floor. Yet right now, and you asked about calling for an attorney, I wouldn't right now. That's what my personal recommendation. You can do what you want. It is a free country. But you do have people working on your problem. But the state and everybody else don't work at our pace, they work at their pace. And movement has been made, but I don't know what the answer is going to be. And I would be crazy if I admitted to anything right now, subject to looking like I want my egg on my face again, but I don't feel that way. I think it will be worked out, but I don't know that for sure. That's probably not the answer you want to hear. You're in a building phase. I went through that 2 years ago. I had weather elements that goes with it. In this case, we go through the legality of a river flood area. That's what we're trying to get solved. Everybody's trying to get solved for you.
I want to make sure that everything's covered, because whenever I spoke to you, you didn't even know my brother was involved into it.
No, I didn't know that till yesterday, and I did ask him, knowing your situation, I didn't know we was talking about another house too. And that's what I want you to be clear of, because we're FEMA and the DNR maps show, and then you said he was limited on space, but I wouldn't advise you going anywhere near that river anymore after this situation with your house.
Speaking of the maps, before we even bought the property, it was October of 2020.
Was that the actual date?
It was in October of 2020 before we,
What was the date on that? If you don't have it right now, I mean, just I would like to have that date.
I have the date. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. This is before we bought it. I have the purchase of the property. On the date of this, maybe I don't have it right here.
In terms of are you asking for the date for in reference to this map that he's talking about? That was October 29th of 2020.
October 29th.
29th. Yes, sir.
October 29th of 2020 is whenever we kind of wrote up the agreement to buy the property, was having two houses being the interest of being put on the property. We kind of just pulled a map, sent it to the building commissioner, and asked, will this be an issue for these house locations? Which was actually on, we didn't even know it then, the best available map that he actually found off of the DNR website. This map that has the dots on it shows it clearly in that plane. Travis Elliott said, I'm not sure where you got that map, but we don't use that. We use the FEMA map. So he discarded the correct map and instead went with the wrong map, gave us the wrong map. So we continue on. We purchased the property that we wouldn't have purchased, being that whenever we reached out to who we were supposed to reach out to, they gave us the wrong map and told us our correct map was wrong.
Do you have another copy of that map?
I can leave this copy behind.
Can I see it?
You got the FEMA map there too?
And that has, we have emails trailing that location with Travis Elliott attached to it saying that with these approved, like these approximate locations, everything to go, during the whole thing, we ran into a septic issue, which caused us to just about back out of the property. Got a call from Jim Brown, I believe, and said, hey, your guy doing your septic proposed something that I believe is going to work. He said it's going to cost a little bit more money, but we can make this thing happen. So we continue on. No issues with floodplain or anything like that. We had an issue with one of the properties being a little too damp. That was included in the house plans. And then it wasn't until, this house is complete on the roof. It has all mechanicals installed, electric, plumbing. It's, I would say, probably 50% done. And I'm not wanting to get stuck with some of this that could have been prevented whenever that first map that we gave him was denied and said we don't use that map. So, that being said, I have an itemized statement just saying where we're at now. Includes the purchase of the land, closing costs, surveys that we had to have done. Everything after, all this stuff happened after that contact happened with the building commissioner. In total was $333,030.36.
Say it again, 333?
$333,030.36.
Again, I can't say no more than I've said right now, and I ask you to give me to the end of the month where I'm gonna know more information from everybody else.
Yeah, and I agree, and I said that, I plan on being here March 1st as well. I don't know if I need to has to be added to the agenda for March 1st.
Yeah, I mean, every taxpayer is entitled to come in here.
I'd like to be added back, but, I wanted y'all to know the figure that we're working with, and this is the number that I'm going after, because keeps increasing. I'm paying on property, I'm paying a construction interest only loan that's going up every month. So the quicker we can get it settled, the better off I'll be.
So let it be noted that you'll be on the agenda on the March 1st. 19.
Yeah, if we can get it resolved between now and then, then it's no problem. We'll scratch you off the agenda then. Unless you just want to come, but I don't know what the purpose would be. But either way.
Is it okay if I say something real quick?
Sure.
So-
Be quick.
Obviously, him and I were kind of in the same boat, but because his house is pretty much under roof and everything's done, and that, kind of begs the question, how did it get this far along before it gets brought up? And I'm really not trying to sound confrontational, and I hope that you can understand the position that we're in. We may come across as confrontational or a little bit agitated. That's not necessarily the message that I'm trying to convey. However, this is, drug on for months and months and months now with no resolution. And I do respect the fact that you've kind of alluded to the fact that you would, your recommendation is that we don't go the attorney route and all that, you kind of mentioned that. Those signals are kind of mixed to a degree, because DNR did advise us that we may want to consult with an attorney. I also find it ironic that the day that we're here talking about this is the day that you all are up there talking about a settlement from a floodway issue from 2017. The part that I guess is frustrating to me personally, because I'm the one who had the conversation with Travis Elliott via email and a phone call, I gave him the correct map the DNR has stated that they trained him on. He told me that I was wrong, and he gave me back the wrong map. And I hope that you can understand that that is a frustrating concept. That somebody who's not in the know, I go do my due diligence, I go to the DNR website, they give me Travis Elliott's number, which was published, and said this is the person to call for questions of this nature in this county. So I did that. I called Travis, I presented him the right map. He looked at it and he said, I don't know where you got that map from. That's not the map that we use. We use the FEMA map. That's the only thing that we use when it comes to issuing building permits. Now, we're this far along in the process, and we found out that that's not the right map. And, to make matters worse, this is completely separate from his situation, but I called Travis on several occasions and had phone conversations with him, and I understand that there's nothing binding with something that he tells me on the phone. But he has told us, and he's guaranteed us, that if this doesn't get, and I understand there's a lot of things that are being pursued. There's, bills that are being proposed, there's hydrologists who've been hired, surveyors out of Indianapolis, and I can respect the fact that it seems like every possible avenue is being pursued. So I appreciate that with all sincerity. But, whenever Travis told me, he said, if all else fails, we will come up with a solution to make sure that you're made whole. These are his words, not mine. He said, if that means that you all have to sell the property, you take a loss on it, we cut you a check for the loss. And then these are just things that he's saying. These are not my ideas or whatever. And then he told me, he said, we have a meeting with our insurance company which this happened sometime, I think, in December, early January. We had a meeting with our insurance company. We're gonna notify them of this process that we're taking place. And since then, I haven't been able to get a hold of Travis. So you've acknowledged that you all are consulting with attorneys and everything, and you all have lawsuits that are of similar nature from 2017 that are being brought up today. But I just wanted to be heard that my frustrations are building. And this is me, not him. So I hope my statements don't reflect his issues.
Your brothers, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
We know how that goes.
So I understand that you've been advised that you can't say anything today. You can't tell us anything. You can't. But this has been going on since roughly, October? This has been going on since October, and originally it was supposed to be a 2-week problem. And there's so many people involved. There's 2 different sets of maps. Some people know about this map, don't know about that map, and this has went on since October. And we're not any closer to a resolution in our minds than we were in October, something that was only supposed to be a 2-week delay. And now we're to the point where that, the house has been sitting for a long time. And when this construction loan comes due, we don't really have any answer from Washington County as to how we're gonna handle this.
Main thing we want, and I told you, Trina, when we get the house built, you want it to where you can sell it down the road if you had to. If we don't do it right, you would be prevented from selling your house. The second thing of it is, if you did have a floodplain, and one gentleman told me yesterday it never flooded up that high on record. But if it did flood, you would want the insurance company to come out and tell you you're in a floodplain, and that's what we want everything cleared out, to where the rest of your life you'll be able to have property. But right now, talking to the engineers and hydrologists and the attorneys, we're in a holding pattern. That's what I told you. It's aggravating for us. If it was me on you selling a dog or a cow, we could make the deal and move on. We can't do that because we got to go through the laws that we have to go by. And to give you an answer right now, I'd be shooting myself in the foot. Again, come back March 1st, I hope we know more. If we don't know more before that, but I don't want to build your hopes up because it may not happen. But we know we're working with a state rep, Mr. Davison, and he's trying what he can do. We're working with the attorney out of Indianapolis. We're working with Travis. We're working with everybody we can possibly work with to get this resolved as quick as we can. We don't want to be here either, and we don't want you having this problem. That's not our goal. But to be able to say, I can give you an answer today, we can't do it.
I understand that. Is there any reason why the information that you all are collecting from the surveyors, the hydrologists, is there any reason why that can't be shared with us? It's our property, and we're trying to work with surveyors too to figure out a solution to see if we can get second opinions and things of that nature, people who's had success with issues very similar to this.
Were you told yesterday that Brian Munce is coming down to take one more ground shot this week?
I was actually told that they wouldn't share, who they were working with. They wouldn't give me a name.
Brian Munce is the guy that's working with it, with the state, and he is coming down this week for sure to take another elevation shot to see what we can get worked there. And then he'll submit it to them, and then we'll move on to the next step. But, and I do know it will be this week. There'll be a guy out there taking some ground shots to come up with a solution. But no, I don't have direct contact with Brian Munce. But I do have him as direct entries, which is working with Brian Munce. And everybody's working together.
I believe that'll be all until.
I got one more question.
Yeah.
So if we get to the point where, we'll come back in March and you're saying you hope you have a resolution, and what if in March we don't have a resolution? Is there any kind of a time frame when we got to figure out alternative resolutions than what we're working on now? And I mean, we're up against the clock here. We've got a loan that's due in August, and that's why, at some point, the lender that's involved is gonna be very curious as to why this went very crazy, if you can understand what I'm saying.
I understand, and like I told you yesterday, personally, not as a board, and when I talk to you as a past contractor, okay, I know these problems happen. But at the same token, I can give you that answer you want today. If you feel safer calling an attorney, that's your option. I don't know that I would go that way personally, because there's too many working on this problem. And I don't want to see you waste other money. But that's my opinion. But if you feel better doing it, so be it. But to be here and give you any better answers than what I'm giving you now, I can't do it, not understand. But I can tell you that there's three of us that have been working as hard as we can, along with everybody else, to get you the answer. But when it gets to the state house, they go home or whatever, we don't. But we don't have that answer. Hopefully we know more by March 1st, if not before. But don't take that statement to the bank either.
No, thank you all.
I'm sorry, I have a very important question. What are your names?
I'm Justin Wilson, Trenton Wilson.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. I don't think we're going. Okay, phone number.
Is that 542?
Wait a minute.
387? Okay, thank you. 9538.
I'm trying to see the best I can do.
I appreciate it, and I understand the situation.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Curtis. That being said, Stephanie, have anything?
Just building ballots this week.
Start voting, right?
It's coming up faster than we think.
That time of year.
Yes.
Thank you.
Nothing right now. I have a meeting with our Southern RDA on Friday morning about ready, so we'll know more.
What is that?
10 a.m. in Madison this Friday.
Brian? You have anything?
We have our caucus for the Libertarians this Thursday, I think, over at Mama Rose's, and we're going to go ahead and put forward our candidates. I'm bringing up Indiana Proud, and we're going to use that video on Indiana Proud, the one that we got on the phone, and go ahead and make, I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and comment on it on thatgreenwoman.com.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Thatgreenwoman.com. I'll give you a card.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like this instance where the zoning board really hasn't worked, and Travis botched this up. Probably going to go ahead and comment on it too. I mean, it's fascinating. So just
It's a free country.
I know it is, hon.
That's right.
But we're not functioning as a group, as a community, as a government.
Right.
And that's just another symptom of it.
How can you sit there and say that on their information that Travis botched it up when you don't know the whole story?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and try to find out the whole story,
Okay.
right? And see if there's trauma like this. I can see that Travis may have made a mistake, and mistakes are human. But this is something that really shouldn't have happened, just to be honest, right? And it's not being resolved quickly either. So I'm going to think about it and try to get back in contact with him and see what needs to happen. Right? Do you have any questions for me?
No, it's like Rick said, you have to know the whole story.
Well, I mean, whatever you allow me to know, and what's on the video,
It's like I told them, it's in the hands of other people besides me right now. If I made a statement to you, it can be 100%, no more. I mean, I know what we're being told. I know the format we have to go through, and that's where we are.
Right.
Okay, how are you today?
Well,
You doing okay?
yeah, pretty well, thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. We're gonna take a recess, and then we've got a construction meeting at 11 o'clock today on the HVAC and how the progress is going. So with that being said, we'll take a recess till 11 o'clock, and then we'll resume. Thank you.
So guys, if you don't talk into the microphone, we can't hear you. So that's one of the things, you know, Bill's the only one and the lawyer, Dustin, was the only ones that we could really hear.
I want to make sure you hear me.
Okay,
You guys ready? Ready, you are? Okay, we're gonna continue our meeting, this construction meeting, progress reports. And Brad, we'll turn it over to you.
Good deal. So I've not had a chance to walk the site yet, but I know you all said you've made a lot of progress here. Do you want to give us an update over the past month or so? We met on the 18th last, so.
Yep, so for systems 1 and 3, they are completely tested out under vacuum, awaiting startup. We have finished the fencing outside around the condensing units. The concrete has been poured for those to get the required ADA clearances. We have began to pull some control wiring for thermostats, communication back to the condensers, and yeah, that's really what we're at for the past 2 weeks, past month.
Good deal. Any update on the electrical scope? I know we were looking at a shutdown you were planning. Has that been taken care of?
No, not yet. Right now, Wire Electric is waiting for some more units on the first floor to get hung so they can run power to those, and then they're gonna throw in their breakers and everything at the very end whenever everything is ready, closer to starting.
Okay. Do you have a range you expect that in? So are we still looking at around April for that, or is that sooner?
It should be sooner. The biggest setback is gonna be ceiling installation on the grid. So my plan is to, this upcoming weekend, to start installing grid in the recorder's office, in the treasurer's office, I believe. Those are the two rooms that are on the third system, so we can get as many systems ready as we can. My plan is to try to do 2 rounds of startup. So do 3 systems, hopefully here within 2 to 3 weeks, and do the other 3 as we progress with ceiling grid and that thing. So
Will you be able to do that without the electric bids hooked up?
we won't, but Wire's been aware of it, and they know they'll get in what we need to in order to do something with it.
The ceilings itself, then, will that be done, will you be completely done with all the units, or?
So what I'm planning on doing is we're gonna start this weekend getting the grid up, get the mains up, get the grid in, and get the unit set directly where it needs to be. So then from that point, during the work week, we can come back through and we can hook everything up. Because right now, those units are all hung up there, but they're not in their definite spot. They need to be tweaked a little bit, so that way we get it right where we need to, so the room layout and grid all looks good and stuff like that. Everything's even on both sides, all sides.
So with you said you had 2 systems completed then now, on the vacuum?
That's piping, it's been purged, vacuum, it's under vacuum right now.
So with the insulation going on top of the rest of the roofs, have they been vacuumed?
They've been air tested, they're not even vacuumed yet. So, yes, we have to do that, they won't insulate anything that hasn't been air tested yet.
I thought one the other day, I heard since the insulation was on, they've been perched.
Right now, most of the piping is stubbed up into the ceiling on the first floor, and so it's either been capped, crimped, or soldered shut to do a test on it, so that way they can insulate, just try and keep them moving.
And the units in the basement, and it's all the units that sat down there. I didn't go in those rooms. VA, solid waste,
Yep.
IT.
Once those two systems are tested, vacuums completed, and they get started up, do you all plan to operate those immediately, or you wait till pressure's
As soon
done with? Or?
as soon as we can, I'd like to go ahead.
Okay.
We're coming in the spring,
Sure.
which we know it's gonna be beneficial to us. I like getting steam boiler off the line as quick as we can.
Sure.
And the way it's looking right now, temperature wise, hoping the system will be able to do on the heat, because it's gonna save us quite a bit of money.
It should, and it should be far more efficient at most ambient conditions compared to the steam
Well, the
system.
steam boiler itself, I mean, yeah, we know it's gonna have to be extreme weather, but, with the heat pumps, I foresee it will be able to go online as soon as we can.
Do you see any issue with that from a control perspective, or any other outstanding issues on those? Okay.
I'm waiting on some wire, but we burned through a 1,000-foot roll in one night, so I wasn't expecting that. So I got another 1,000 feet coming for the other three systems. So
I said, I've not been down there yet. Do you have the central control board in there yet, the AC smart system?
that's sitting in my office, because that's pretty breaking.
Oh, yeah.
I'll let that until we're closer.
And the factory guy will definitely, he'll probably be the one handling, starting on that, right? Because that's a lot more specialized for their system. Any lead time issues expected, or other delays you're running into? Is most of the work occurring at night, during the day, or?
Everything we've done for the past 2 weeks has been on shift.
Okay.
Maybe 3.
Has anyone had any issues with dust, debris, anything like that? Did a good job? Awesome. Any other complaints or items you all wanted to mention? All going smoothly?
Everything's going good.
Awesome.
Not a lot.
Good
Deal
deal.
have to work with.
Any passerby complaints about the fence, or is everyone liking it so far? Knock on wood.
I don't foresee. I don't foresee it.
I think it's good, but
I mean, really, yeah.
you never know. Never know what the public opinion is going to be. So that's good.
You all know, it's gonna be perfect, but you're trying to work in a historic building without destroying anything, and that's gonna be the main thing.
Sure.
Our staff has been doing their own painting, and so, we're all working done.
Sure. You mentioned there was one issue you wanted to look at while we were here with the condensate route.
I don't think you're.
Okay.
It's an alternative.
Put that after here. First. Is that, we said that's first floor? Okay. Cool. Yeah. Pretty quick progress meeting. Anything else you all wanted to touch base on? I want to keep everyone here longer. I'd like to go and get the next meeting set up. If as we're kind of rounding the corner here, you all want to stick to a monthly meeting, or go any more frequent?
I'll be honest, I would like to continue the monthly, if that's okay.
Sure.
And as we come down to the closing in, probably lasting longer than this, but I think we should have.
Well, if we see there's a problem or a need, there's no reason we couldn't call
Absolutely.
another meeting besides the monthly meeting, is there?
Sure, yeah. No issue at all. Is there a date in mid-March that works well for you all?
If we go to the 15th of March. Is that okay with you?
That what you mean? That's Tuesday for you.
Hopefully that jumps down better.
11 o'clock, okay with you?
Yeah, I'm free that day, so I'll find her. And then I should ask earlier, do you have a updated substantial completion date?
You mean beyond April?
They're just
Just one.
just a ballpark. Yeah, I know we had some delays early on to see if we're still targeting that, or it doesn't have to be anything official. Just
Yeah, I mean,
ballpark.
April, mid-April's like mine. And total, I'm gonna be past that.
Okay.
So, once you- everything I can do to get done before that's what I'm shooting for.
Gotcha. That's all I have. We'll walk the site.
What are you actually doing?
Do you have anything?
This is for the air conditioning addition project that's occurring on the first floor and in the basement of the building.
Okay.
You may have noticed some new units on the outside of the building on that side over there, and then some new units throughout different spaces there. So it's a new air conditioning and also a heating system for the first 2 floors of the building. Awesome. Anything else?
I don't have anything. Kevin?
Nope. Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Have a motion to adjourn.
Go ahead.
Second that. All in favor, say aye. Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Check it out.